this wave of protests and uprisings is going to end. It always does. This level of activity is not sustainable for most people. I'm looking for two things. Number one, I'm looking for the remnant of people who are catalyzed for a lifetime because of this moment. It is a turning point in their life, and they're going to become lifelong racial justice advocates. This is going to be across the racial and ethnic spectrum. We're looking at our Asian brothers and sisters, Latin American folks, even white folks coming into this movement. And it's never going to be a majority of people, but it doesn't take a majority of people to cause major change. And so I'm looking for that remnant. Who's going to stick around after this wave? The second thing I'm looking for, if you're not going to be the one who completely sort of shifts your disposition and takes on racial justice as your life's work, okay, but give us money. Write the check. Ongoing financial support to fuel this movement. And a lot of people denigrate, money because it seems so worldly, because it seems like such a easy thing to do to sign a check instead of actually getting involved in activism. I'm like, I'm cool with it because we need money. and we want this work to keep going forward. If all you can do is write a check, then write that check.
A lot of the big denominations of white churches or like white-led denominations that they split because of slavery. Do you think that it is their responsibility to pay some sort of reparations or to have some kind of financial investment in the Black communities that have been negatively affected by their work, by their theology?
Absolutely, I do. And this strikes very close to home because I run a Black Christian nonprofit, and I've been doing this since 2011. And to this day, we struggle raising money because we are Black focused. There are ways we could sort of tap dance and get more money, but we would have to sort of soften or change our message. And we're just not willing to compromise on that. And then you look at white churches and white Christian ministries and white nonprofits that literally have multi-million-dollar budgets, staffs of dozens or even hundreds of people. And you're like, what is happening here? We are no less talented. We are no less passionate. And yet the financial resources aren't there. And that has a long history. It has a history to do with racism in the church, but it has the history of racism in society in general and tracing it back to the racial wealth gap. And so I think, as Martin Luther King Jr. said, the church should be the headlight, but too often it's the tail light in society. Mm-hmm. And I think the church ought to be the headlight on reparations, where you have many white Christians waiting around for the federal government to do something, which may or may not ever happen. In the meantime, why don't you take action yourself? Why don't you take action? There are all these bivocational pastors who can't afford to be on staff full time because their constituents don't have any money. Pay their salaries, pay off the mortgages of these Black churches that are doing the work in the inner city that you're either not willing to do or you want to do in a sort of gentrified manner. Help the people who already know the community and are there to support it. Help Black-led Christian ministries like the Jude 3 Project, like Build a Better Us, like Be the Bridge, and to have financial solvency so that they can do their work that they're already doing very effectively, but not be hampered by a budget that's too small to actually fulfill the ministry that they're trying to do. And so absolutely, I think reparations are due. I think financial support is due. And I think Christians should be leading the way and not waiting for a secular government or some other sector of society to set the example to make it what all the cool kids do and then jump on board the bandwagon at the very end.